Jack Shafer is Politico's senior media writer. The last thing journalism needed in these toilsome times was a 60-second, $10.5 million Super Bowl commercial from the Washington Post extolling the virtues of a free press. The ad, purchased by the Post's owner, richest man in the world Jeff Bezos, mashed up images from D-Day, Selma, Katrina, the moon landing, and other landmark events in contemporary American history in its sales pitch. If you didn't know beforehand you were viewing a Washington Post ad, you could have mistaken it for a campaign spot for a middle-of-the-road political candidate. The voiceover by Tom Hanks added a Spielbergian, all-American spell to the script, which essentially said, "Journalists work hard, at great physical peril to themselves, to produce the information that keeps you free." Then came the final card in the Bezos deck, the Washington Post logo and its Gothic slogan, "Democracy dies in darkness." Story continued below. The spot wasn't quite an advertisement, making no overt attempt to sell a specific good or service, unlike the recent New York Times commercials, which did include a subscription solicitation. Nor was it a work of propaganda, fiddling with our deep emotions to change our minds. Stripped to its essence, the spot was a simple recitation of the civic catechisms everyone was taught in 7th grade about the value of a free press and the First Amendment. If Bezos' ad was designed merely to get people talking about him and the Washington Post, and to portray the paper as a courageous national player to the hundreds of millions who don't read it but to watch the Super Bowl, then you could call it a success. Donald Trump Jr. denounced it promptly in a tweet, dismissing the mainstream press's leftist BS. A Post-union representative ripped the ad from the workers' point of view, calling it an infuriating expense for a company that has cheapened employee benefits. The New York Post speculated that the ad might have been produced at the last minute after Bezos yanked a $20 million commercial for his rocket company, Blue Origin, when it was disclosed that his mistress helped film it. But was the Post ad worth it? Let's imagine Bezos had spent the $10.5 million on reporters instead. He could add 10 to the Post staff at $100,000 a year for 10 years and still have money left over to buy several tankers filled with coffee and a semi-tractor loaded with donuts. Surely such a purchase of talent and snacks would have shined a brighter light on the darkness Bezos fears than a one-off Super Bowl commercial. The counter-argument: don't concern yourself with Bezos spending $10.5 million on a commercial any more than you do him buying a $65 million private jet, doesn't cut it. I don't begrudge Bezos' wild spending on items of personal consumption. I just don't like seeing him burn cash on a PR stunt with no demonstrable payoff for journalism. It's the mark of a bad publisher to waste money that could be put to good and lasting use on hot copy. The Bezos ad was the video equivalent of the Newseum, that slow-motion disaster, of a museum built in 2008 for $450 million, which just announced that it plans to close. Like the Bezos commercial, the Newseum probably seemed like a good idea to its planners. But instead of building a sensible structure for collecting artifacts and conceiving exhibits, the museum's trustees wanted the bloat of spectacle and broke ground for a glass and steel palace adjacent to the National Mall, some of the most expensive real estate in town. The building's extravagance had the weird effect of reducing the exhibits and knickknacks about journalism to small and worthless afterthoughts. If Bezos genuinely wants journalism to survive, and given his deep investment in the Post that's obviously the case, he should stop spending his PIN money on commercials for himself, which is what the Super Bowl spot was, and earmark those funds for the production of quality journalism. Good journalism is the greatest advertisement for journalism there ever was. Hi, Jeff, send your spare millions to Shafer. Politico@gmail.com and I'll tell you how to spend them. Disclosure: my email alerts has visited the Newseum to attend book parties and wakes. My Twitter feed wants to own the helicopter hanging in the Newseum Great Hall if it needs a new home. My RSS feed was moved in its youth by Norman Mailer's book advertisements for myself. Jump to sidebar section.